Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Maybe it's middle of the night. We're happy to have you here. I'm excited to talk about our topic today about authenticity fatigue, right? Authenticity is a topic. Suniti and I were just talking. It's everywhere. Everybody's talking about authenticity, how we should be more authentic. So, to start, I'm Sean Michael. I go by the title the Inner Potential Activator, here to help you, if you're a coach, entrepreneur, or leader, unlock your inner potential that is buried under junk. And I'm excited to have my co-host who, well, I'll let her talk.
Thank you. So my name is Sunidhi Biswas and I have actually rebranded myself, so I'll go for it again. It's the title I've taken up is Authentic Voice Mentor. Why? Because I feel that all of us have a unique voice that we need to show off to the world to show off who we actually are. And it's not about putting up a mask or a case or anything like that. It's just about being who you are. And a lot of times it's covered in a lot of things that doesn't let you communicate the way you want to communicate. So that's what I help people do. And that's why today's topic is very, very interesting for me because it's about authenticity, something I really, really adore, but something I see being misconstrued very much in the public days now.
Yes, because as the subtitle said, it is important to be authentically ourselves, as you said, to share your authentic voice, to not hide it away because of misconstrued beliefs or anything like that, right? Suniti is like, let's be ourselves, but sometimes the authenticity, the vulnerability that people demonstrate actually becomes just another performance.
Absolutely. Like some people are just hell bent on proving how real they are. Like as if it's some kind of Bear Grylls show they are doing. And it becomes funny at that point because it's okay. You are human. You're allowed to be, uh, insecure or afraid. You don't have to do things just to show authenticity. You cannot show authenticity. It's something that comes from within. It's something that's natural and never will need to be done. But most people are doing authenticity, which is the most bizarre concept I have ever heard
Right.
of.
As I could say it this way, raw is the new polished. And that's part of the problem, right? All over social media, it's like, be vulnerable, be real, but in a curated, algorithm friendly kind of way. Authenticity for some has become a brand. And I like to welcome Amalia. Thank you for joining us. Right? This pressure to be, Jay, welcome. The pressure to be real on cue, right? Like, oh, wait, I turned the video on. Let me be real. Come on. Like, it's just
Yeah,
another
it's like
mask,
the no makeup, makeup, no makeup, makeup look, as they
right?
call it.
It's
Like there's no makeup, but actually there's a lot.
right. There's still a mask. There may not be makeup, but there's still a mask, right? It's just
Exactly.
more relatable, more palatable, right?
It's just something that is curated to show vulnerability. One thing happened that's very funny. A very famous content writer from India, and funnily enough, she's Bengali as well. I'm not going to give any more clues, but she recently sent out a newsletter and she said that, oh, I don't like AI, I want to be genuine and everything. But the whole newsletter was actually her giving rights to a workshop on how to use AI to make content. And I read the entire newsletter once, twice, thrice, and I was like, yeah, the content's great. I feel like I want to purchase it. So your work is definitely successful, but what was this?
Right. There's a
What
mismatched
authenticity is
message
this?
there.
Exactly. And you will not pinpoint it because she's written it very beautifully. It's written very nicely and it exactly triggers you at the right points and makes you think that, oh, I'm going to fall behind if I don't have content, if I don't have video scripts, etc. She gives you a very nice way and it's drafted very nicely because she's one of the top creators. But you're a top creator and you're talking about AI. Where did your actual talent go then? If you are using AI to generate content,
But you're poo pooing.
and if I wanted it, I yeah, exactly. Everybody is all about AI stealing art, but then you are the one who is giving your art to AI.
Right.
So what's happening over there?
It's like publishing on LinkedIn, like, watch out, be careful on LinkedIn. Don't go on LinkedIn. Like, what? I mean, what you explained,
Yeah,
it's this clash of messages. It's like, I don't do AI, but then you're going to give a class on using AI and like that.
yeah, it was a very mixed mishmash of a message, and that's why it came to my mind immediately the moment you said because uh, it was all about exposure. It was not about alignment. She didn't talk about anything like I will teach you how to write what you want to write, what it comes from your heart, and how to make it more palatable to people. No, it is all about how AI can do it for you.
Yeah, that's
I mean, great. If I wanted to know that, I will just go and learn prompt engineering because that's basically what it is.
or just ask AI to tell you how to use AI. Like, I've seen some prompts on Reddit and things.
Absolutely. And keep going aside from that as well, like this is just an example. This is just an example, but authenticity has become something that people are doing, not being. And that's the issue.
Right. And Amalia asks a powerful question. Is being authentic becoming a performance, or are people becoming more judgmental about how others choose to show up and what authenticity means to them? I would say a little of both. I have seen overdone authenticity, right? Look at me, I'm so authentic. But at the same time, yeah, people are a lot more judgmental. I was just reading through my feed this morning about a situation where it was just really ugly. It was a coach contacting somebody and being extremely judgmental and like being judgmental and then say, "Hey, I've got a package to help you with that." I was like, "What?" That doesn't that's we are people are more judgmental. It's like the M dash, right? There is a proper time to use M dash, but because AI uses it like crazy, if you put an M dash, I've seen the post, oh, if you've got M dashes in your content, you must have used AI. And it's yeah, people are a lot more, especially behind a keyboard.
Yeah. But I'd like to add something as well. When you say that what authenticity means to them, authenticity should mean just about being yourself. And when the moment it starts feeling like a performance, like I have to do this thing, you should know you're on the wrong track.
Right. You said it beautifully, right? Are you doing authenticity or are you being authentic?
Absolutely. Like if you look at this podcast that we are here in, Sean and I, we are just just casually we're talking about stuff, and we are not made up. We are not dandified ourselves because we know this is just a conversation, and the focus should be on the conversation. That's what authenticity means to us. But if someday down the line, maybe 50 more shows into it, we see a lot of traction and you suddenly see us still, have me having this blank background, Sean has updated his background, if it was still the previous one, you would have felt like, oh my god, they were being so authentic, they're still humble. But no, that would have been laziness. That's authenticity when you update yourself according to times, according to situation. Because our own selves will not accept mediocrity. We are coaches. We want to see progress. We want to see things improve.
Yeah.
So
Starting
that's
right
the
here.
basic thing. Exactly. It starts with you. Are you being authentic?
Well, and on the topic of authenticity, I recently did a podcast episode called The Authenticity Trap. And on it, I talked about, you know, authenticity online, especially, is not emotional vomit,
Yeah,
r-
I understand what you
right?
mean.
Like,
Oh,
just I remember several years ago, there was a meme that came up on Facebook and it showed a laundry basket and it says, that goes here, not on Facebook. Because on social media, people love to post all their vulnerability, their authenticity. You have to ask yourself, like, am I sharing this? Like one of the early mind shifts, we had a woman self love coach, and it brought up a lot of feelings of people talking about some experiences of like childhood abuse and things like that. And you know I felt it was the right time and space because it was on the audio event, so no recordings. Everything was like, if you weren't there, you missed it. Now we've got these replays, so you know it's a little, it's not quite the same space. Amalia and I are, I host through the Audio Leadership Club a monthly accountability space. And I had somebody say, oh, I wish I could get the replay. Nope. It's accountability space. There is no replays. It's not posted somewhere, even behind a membership wall. It's live and in person. Like, you want to experience, you got to come because it's designed to be a safe space where I don't have to worry about revealing part of myself that I'm not wanting to reveal publicly. I think there is definitely authenticity is valuable, but again, like we said, and let me say it this way, you don't owe your story to anyone just because you have a story, right? You've got to gauge it.
exactly.
Is this the time to share the story?
Exactly. And funnily enough, you talked about Facebook, and I remembered this Facebook couple. They have two or three children, I think. And initially, they started off as this happy family making videos and memes, etc. And everybody was liking it. But in the middle, the man relapsed and he went back into becoming a junkie, and the women started talking crap about him. and they separated, and they were just airing dirty laundry, and they started losing followers, both of them. And the woman came up and complained that people are not like that, I'm being vulnerable. And at that point, somebody came up and they gave her a class lecture on what vulnerability means and what it means to slander other people. Because what she was doing was slandering her husband. And it's still going on. Like they're both still posting and posting and posting without caring about the fact that there are three kids in the equation and they will grow up and see this someday. But yeah, it's pretty big and they are all from the US.
Yeah, it's troubling, right? Because when we share our deep painful stories, our past, our trials, our tribulations, we need to share it from a scar, not from the wound, right?
Okay. This
What they were
might
doing
be,
is they were in the middle, like they were still bleeding, and they're like, "Oh, look, I'm bleeding." No, that's not what we want to do.
yeah, first cover it up, put on the band-aid.
It's like, "Oh, well, yeah, I remember when I did this. I was like 15 years old and mom wasn't home and blah 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 blah. And I was the one in charge and I'm bleeding." And then like, so I put pressure on it and called my mom, like, "Mom, I cut myself, come home." And my little brothers and sisters are running around, but this is from a scar. I'm not actively bleeding right now. But that's the point is, right, share from the scar, not while you're bleeding still.
Yeah, because you gotta heal first. You need to actually be aware of what message you're sending out.
Absolutely.
We spoke about this just before the show started that it's very important that the message you're giving out is actually helpful to people and not something that is going to hurt somebody down the line.
Right. And that leads me to this quote that I just put on the screen. Sometimes the most honest thing you can do is go quiet.
Absolutely. And people feel like if you're online, you have to say something.
Right.
They
I
have
have
this
to do my I
compulsion
have
to
to do my
say.
post every day, or I have to do something every 3 times a week or whatever.
I mean, consistency is great, but what's the meaning of forced post? It's very evident when you are just forcing yourself to do something. People can understand it very well because your essence won't be there. It just won't.
Right. And if you're trying to keep that up, like I can understand a sprint, right? I'm part of is it a 30-day or a 90-day notes challenge on Substack. But it's like, hey, share your notes here. We'll support each other. We'll go check out your notes. And, if we resonate, and it's been great, but it's a sprint. It's a season, right? I know that this is a challenge. Like it's helping me get more focused on my writing because I know I want to get my note out for the day, even if it's like, hey, it was really hard to write this note today, right?
Hey,
Last
that's because you tell them that yeah, it was hard, but I tried. So you guys evaluate if it's good
right,
enough.
well, because if you remember last Monday, I was dealing with plumbing issues.
Yes.
They were not resolved until Thursday afternoon.
Oh my god.
You've never seen three people happier when we could turn the water on and wash our hands without having to worry about a bucket that we have to throw outside. Like we went back to old school, right? You have a basin that you have to dump outside. That was powerful. And, there was a lot of lessons I drew from that, that was related to my work. I didn't share the plumbing problems just like, oh yeah, my it's all backed up in my house. No, I saw a lesson in it that, you know, for example, on Sunday I spent hour and a half bailing water that just kept coming. And the good lesson was fixing the surface, clearing the water doesn't do it. You got to get into the deeper level, right? You got to go underground and find the blockage. It turned out there was a box buried that wasn't on any plans or anywhere. They luckily found, like, they were just digging holes in the area, like just digging a hole. Nope, there's nothing here. Oh, the pipe should be here. Oh, there's a box, like a two pipes coming into it. It's like, oh, okay. Now they know. We would have never found it if those guys didn't just keep digging down bit by bit, just like in life, right?
Yep, and it helped that programmer. It helped that programmer, didn't it? That note of yours.
A couple of the I shared another note. He's like, "Oh, you helped me solve another problem with the code." I'm like, "This is great." Jay asks a valuable question.
When you hear the word authenticity, what comes to your mind?
And I'd love to hear from Jay or anybody else on Team Live or Team Replay. Doesn't matter. Share your definition of authenticity, because I'm a strong believer that if someone says a word, like any word, authenticity, vulnerability, I can choose to project my understanding of the word onto it when they say it, or I can just say, hey, what do you mean when you say that word?
Exactly, and sometimes we all have different definitions of a word, and it's all valid because the context matters. And we all have developed the meanings from different situations, different experiences. So you won't be wrong, and I won't be wrong either.
Right. Well, and to me, authenticity is that this version of me you see is the same version my wife sees every morning, my son sees every day, my neighbors see. I am the same person. I don't have different versions of me. I am me. That's one level of authenticity. And I have learned through my own journey what I shared on the podcast. Don't emotionally vomit. Right? There is a time and a space, and sometimes the best thing is
Zip it.
don't say anything. Right? Because you have to look at yourself. Like when you share it, because here I've seen this, like when you share your story, are you sharing it to help someone else heal or rise? Or are you sharing, oh, you think you got that bad? Oh, I remember, blah, 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 blah. I've seen people do this, right? Like whatever you've got, they always got it worse or better.
Mm. And that's one of the most irritating things when you call up somebody looking for some solace and they're like, oh, really? I had a worse day. And you're like, why did I call this person?
And that, that was a powerful lesson that I got when we went through the study on nonviolent communication is sometimes we just want to be heard.
It's not sometimes,
Many
it's
times, yeah. A lot of
always.
times we
All
just
of
want
us,
to express ourselves. We don't want
yeah,
fixing. I've shared this before, right? I don't need fixing. I don't want rescuing, advising, projecting, one upping. right? I just need to be heard. I just want to be heard and understood.
Absolutely. And most people do want that, but we are also busy trying to get validation from something of ours that we do end up prepping.
Yes. It's even worse for guys. Like, because
Because you're wired,
right, the masculine
right?
energy,
So,
the masculine energy. I'm gonna say that because women do this too when they're operating more heavily in their masculine energy. And the masculine energy, feminine energy, everybody has it. It doesn't matter what pronouns you use, what gender you were born as, none of that matters. You have masculine energy and you have feminine energy, and they each serve purpose, right? Masculine energy
absolutely.
is strong and problem solving and all of that. Feminine energy is emotional and nurturing and all of that. Right.
Nurture.
The motherly traits, right? But yeah, so if your primary energy mode is masculine, then somebody shares something. Oh well, let me. How do I a problem? I got to solve it. It's instinctive. It's the way that side is wired. Masculine energy wants to fix the problem. It's reality.
Yeah. And that's why I always say I have this thing with my close friends that whenever somebody calls, one of us calling the other, we ask, do you want comfort or do you want advice? And that way we can solve the problem because if somebody is seeking comfort and you give advice, they're going to turn into a ball of fire.
Yes, I agree.
And don't really want a
It's a
girl mad at
great
you.
way to start out. Okay, you shared that. Do you want comfort? Do you want advice? Or do you just want silence?
Yeah, sometimes you just want somebody to sit beside you in silence, right? That also happens. Like the story you told about the principal and the little girl.
Yeah.
It's become one of my favorite
And
stories.
with this online world, especially because so many are online for businesses, right? I would imagine that's the people that I'm attracting. That, at least that's my target is entrepreneurs, people who are trying to use social media to impact the world and build a business or whatever. We need to stop monetizing our inner life. End of story, right?
Yeah. Some things should be private.
Not every insight is content. Not every transformation is meant for everybody to see. Leadership with no discernment is just exhibitionism,
That was a good one. That's a very true one though.
right? Is there a purpose for sharing the story? Or is it just brand highlights? And I got a question I'm going to drop in the chat that I'd love to hear people's answers. Are you being honest or just consistent with your brand?
Yeah, I think I fell into this trap once that I was being consistent with the brand, but not honest. And then Sunday, I got called out for it in one of my live sessions, and I was like, no, I want to be honest. So I corrected myself over there. And that's true. We need reality checks because sometimes it becomes like a mask that fits you very, very smoothly, and you don't even realize it.
Right. And it's kind of like that movie with Jim Carrey.
Yeah. The
right?
mask.
You just put it on your face and then it just becomes part of you. It can actually even become your identity. Like you it just slips in so easily and melds that you get you forget, right? Which is interesting that we're talking about these masks and authenticity because I put a poll out recently that I'm hoping to get more votes. I thought I put it for 2 weeks, but like when I look at it, it's the countdown seems shorter than I expected because I'm considering a leadership retreat here in Guatemala. And so I
Okay.
put three names out to get opinions on. One was unmasked for
Mm-hmm.
leaders who are ready to stop pretending. The other was ignite or ignited. I'm trying to pull it up. Ignite, light the fire and burn the lies. Or the identity reset. Have you outgrown who you've been and you're ready to become who you're meant to be?
I like the third one.
Yeah, I got a lot of the vote on LinkedIn. I got more towards the unmasked and the ignite, but on another platform where I put the identity reset is the more preferred.
I think it also comes from a point of perspective, as in what they are actually looking for. Because you've got the taglines over there, and they might be thinking that, oh, I resonate with this more. So that's why it might be. But for a lot of people who deal with authenticity, with deal with rebranding themselves or reclaiming themselves, or have actually are close to burnout, they will resonate with the third one the most.
Well, and the third one actually, from my perspective, is more aligned with something I'm working on behind the scenes, something that's needed, and it's about identity. It's more about identity and operating from being,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you know, clearing like identity reset. Like I think I said it last week. I don't remember. It's a reclamation. Maybe it was on a podcast,
Yeah, it
right?
was here.
This wasn't. This isn't. This is reclaiming who you were at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Which leads to my next question. What would it look like to reclaim a version of yourself that doesn't need to be seen to feel valid? Hello, Miss Lisa. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. What would it look like to reclaim a version of yourself that doesn't need to be seen to feel valid?
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Like, it would be effortless. It would be natural and feel like the most real you have ever been.
Yeah, it's kind of what I've been working on myself or with me, right? Is going from this kid who had felt like I had to do, or this young man that had to do all this stuff so I could be seen and heard and understood. And I'm just like, I'm just going to be me, and people will love it and others won't. And that's okay.
Exactly. And that's the main thing because you have to be you. I'm part of this community called Being You, where it's all about being who we are every day, every moment, and to be very unapologetic about it. And we support each other, and it's a great and lovely community. But I feel like I learned about what authenticity is right over there. I didn't have the right idea about it before because
Right. We have
authenticity,
that. We have a neatly packaged, well marketed version, is what we
yeah,
have.
we think that it requires so much effort to be vulnerable and authentic and real, but the real doesn't require any effort at all because it's you. At the end of the
Right.
day, it's just you.
Right. And it just naturally happens. You said what did you say the community you're part of is?
Being you.
Being you. Because I'm also part of, because I read a book and I joined the community. It's called the Being Movement. Same idea. It's like just coming back to who we are at our purest core,
Absolutely. And you can see that we
without
are
all the
in different
performance.
parts of the world, but we are still connecting on the same core issue. So people are catching up on the fact that authenticity is important, but how to do it? Why is it so important? Because the dangers are real.
Yeah, very, very true. As you were sharing about young people launching a podcast giving advice that is a little frightening.
Yes, I mean, what does a 19-year-old know? And the advice, I heard it for like a minute, and I was like, I want that 1 minute of my life back.
That says a lot.
Indeed, it does, and I worry for the people who would listen to her podcast, and that made me wonder, like, there should be somebody verifying what people are saying online because this is how misinformation goes about, which our media is very good at, but that's what the kids are learning from.
Yes. There's a joke with my generation is like we grew up in a world where none of the crap we did was posted on social media. And there's a lot of stuff we did, but we don't have to ever see it again. Like we can actually just forget about it. Like, okay, that was dumb.
Yeah, but everything we do nowadays is on social media.
Right.
And
Even when you didn't post it.
yeah, because somebody else did. Anything happens, people just pull up a phone and they're live streaming it. And it's annoying. It's
it,
annoying.
it is somewhat annoying. Yes. Everything is not meant to be live streamed or posted online.
Absolutely.
Dr. Marcia, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you. So we're nearing that point where I open it up to others to join us on stage. So let me post that. Oh, you know what? I was really smart, Suniti. I got all my quotes preloaded before the event,
Hmm.
but I forgot to preload the invite link.
You'll have to do it now manually, right?
I'm getting better with this whole thing, but it's a process, right? You're trying to keep track of all the little levers and knobs and things to get set right.
Absolutely. And that's okay because we are learning and we
That's
are
being
humans.
authentic. Like legitimately, not for likes, not for engagement. Just the reality. Because I'm not 19 anymore. And I forget things, like I wake up Sunday morning and go, oh, I didn't send the invites out. Oh my gosh. But I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm improving. But so I've put the link in the chat. You're welcome to join and share your take on authenticity, about how it should be done, about, as we said, authenticity fatigue, when this being real is more of a performance than just the reality. So Nadia and I go on video, but you don't have to. You can come on just audio if you like. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's your choice. We just want you to interact with us if you want to interact, and everybody is welcome.
Yes. And I have kind of a reflection prompt. What's one part of your truth you've been sharing out of habit and not out of healing? And what would it look like to hold that part gently just for ourselves? Because as we've been saying, every little bit of our life does not need to be online.
Absolutely. If you're sharing everything and it feels like you have to share, then it's forced. And anything forced is not authentic. It's not real.
Yeah, it
Something
definitely
that you
loses
not
some authenticity when we do it out of some felt obligation, right? And watch out for emotional vomit.
oh my god. So many people are doing it nowadays. It just reminds me of something. When you talk about authenticity, there's also a lot of people who are very authentic. Like I don't really keep up with celebrity news, but recently I heard somebody asked um I think Kylie Jenner it was, about some kind of surgery she had gotten done and what exactly she asked the doctor or the plastic surgeon, and she actually replied with the exact thing she told the doctor. And usually celebrities shy away from telling all these things, but she said it. And so people have been very happy that, oh my god, she's a girl's girl. And that's pretty nice of her. That's pretty authentic of her to actually open up and say that, hey, yes, I got it done. You can get it too. So something like that. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be showy. It just has to be
Exactly.
you.
Right. And, like, what's the, like, if you're going to share something, especially something raw, as we said, I think the checkpoints are: don't share from the wound, share from the scar, right? You've gotten to the other side of it. Two is be intentional, right? I'm not talking about performance and brand. Like, is there a reason to share this? Is the context right? And this applies whether it's on a live stream like this or post, whatever. There seems to be a major lag between our studio and LinkedIn,
No, no, no.
because the comment I posted through my phone, because that's the only way I can comment on LinkedIn when we're live, just popped in on our screen. So there's a
Yeah,
major
I was
delay.
thinking that I can see your fingers. How did it go over there? I thought you texted it long back. So I was
No,
just
I
puzzled a
send it
second.
I send it through my phone because Restream won't. It will read the comments from LinkedIn, but it won't send them. So it's a challenge.
But we love challenges, we coaches, don't we?
Challenges, there's not challenges are not to be shied away from.
We level up through challenges.
Right. We without challenge, without falling on our face sometimes, it our growth will be minimal. I'm not going to say you can't grow without that, but it'll be very small steps. But those times when we face a challenge and we get to the other side, or we fall on our face, right? We learn a lot more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're 30 something years old, don't get a razor scooter and try to do tricks like you're 15. Been there, done that. You want to see the t-shirt?
Oh my god.
That was an interesting lesson, like I was trying to be young and I got this scooter and it was useful to get to work because I had to go from my house to the bus. So it made it more efficient. Then I got on a bus to a train, and then I had a few blocks to get to my office. So it worked out well. But then I got this wild hair, like thinking I was 15 again, do some tricks on the scooter. Yeah, I would have been fine just riding the scooter like a 30 something adult. But hey, live and learn, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, we can hear the birds again.
That's actually the neighbor dog chihuahua. It gets really
But it
annoying
sounds like
sometimes.
chirping. It sounds like chirping
It's a
from
little,
here.
it's one of those tiny little chihuahuas with a high pitched,
Oh,
annoying yap.
I don't like chihuahuas. They just look like, I shouldn't say this, but they look evil. They look like
Yeah.
meanies.
Little dog, big attitude, especially the
I
male ones.
Yeah, my neighbor has like three Rottweilers, and I play with them a lot. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, Rottweilers! They are fierce. How do you play with them? How are you so brave?" And I'm like, "They are adorable. They want nothing other than somebody to play with them." And when I go there, they are on top of my head and just climbing over me, licking me all over. I come back like I'm drenched. There's no fierceness in them when they know somebody. Okay, so my net's lagging.
Yeah, me and too.
Hmm.
All right. Once again, we're getting to the top of the hour. Closing thoughts, Suniti? Like, what's something you would want somebody watching this to take away from today?
I want people to think about something before they decide to post something online. That, am I doing this because I feel an obligation to do it, or am I doing this because I'm just being myself? And this context different is different for everybody. For somebody who is a social creature, for them taking a snap of their restaurant meal is normal. For somebody who is not, for them it's okay to not post it. So the answer to this question is going to be different for everybody, but be who
Absolutely.
you are. Don't do authenticity. Be authentic. And remember that the real you is the most beautiful you that can be.
Right. And as I
I
say,
now, but it's true.
be you everywhere.
Absolutely.
Right. And I agree with your, be intentional. Does it fit? Is it, why am I posting this? Am I posting it because of some felt obligation, or because, the latest business coaches all say be more vulnerable? Or is there actually a real message that you're trying to share that will impact people positively, that will help someone in their own journey, right?
Exactly.
And remember, stillness, silence is acceptable. You don't, it's not, this isn't about being raw and sharing every little aspect of our lives or our inner struggles or any of that online for engagement, right? If authenticity is becoming a performance, it's time to step back and reevaluate.
Exactly.
Or if we're looking for validation, right? As the question I posted, what would it look like? No, we're just covering. We can. What would it look like to reclaim the version of yourself who doesn't need to be seen to feel valid? I think that's powerful, right? When we can, I'm not claiming I'm there yet. I'm closer than I was a year ago, 6 months ago, but
But it
I'm
takes
not
a lot.
there. It's a journey, it's
You peel off the layers, you learn to become comfortable in your own skin. There's a lot to do, but it's a beautiful journey. Like they say, change is hard at first, messy in the middle, but gorgeous at the end.
right.
Any
And
change.
the beauty is looking back and say, can be like, I did it. I got through that. And the connections you make along the way, right? I don't remember when we started co-hosting together, Suniti, or when we first met. It's been several months now,
Mm-hmm.
but I love the connection. I love, your voice that you share when you come here, your smile.
Thank you so much. And it's a real pleasure being here because there's so many people and honestly like the audience that comes over here and the gems that we get from them. I'm a very curious person and I love learning. So this is like
Oh,
Aladdin's cave.
RK3 is here. We have somebody. What a nice surprise, Robert.
Hey,
Can you hear us? We're having a
I
bit of
can.
lagginess. Okay, there we go. That's probably my computer. So how are
Oh
you?
no, that was me. I had hold on one second. Yeah, no, I had I still had you playing in the original tab in the LinkedIn tab before hopping over to Restream.
Ah, so
Awesome.
what's your take on authenticity fatigue?
Well, there are a lot of things that I think about that. I think that we have misnamed, misnomered, mistaken authenticity in some ways because we think that authenticity means just showing up and being real. And I'm going to put air quotes around that. Um, and the truth is that there are different layers, different versions of us. So, for example, as a speaker, I'm not the same person, or I don't show up in the same way on stage that I do in a conversation with three people. When I'm on stage, it is, for all intents and purposes, it's performance, right? I turn up the volume on me about 5, 6, 7 notches. I'm louder. I'm more demonstrative. I may do cartwheels. I do things on stage that I don't necessarily do in person with two or three people. You know, I was doing a session a couple of weeks ago or last week, and somebody talked about, use the example of Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V invited them to a session, and the cameras were rolling, and they saw social media Gary V. And then once the cameras went off, he became a lot more muted, and he just, the energy just went down. And was he being inauthentic when the cameras were on? No, he was on stage. There was a performance. And then when the performance was over, he became this other version of his authentic real self. So those are my thoughts, man. I it's not one or the other. It's a both and. There's several versions of us.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because when I was a kid, there was a TV show on PBS that I loved watching called Yan
Mhm.
Can Cook.
Okay, yeah.
And it, like, because he was, if I remember, he was from where I was from. So there was that connection. And he was
Mhm.
hilarious when he did it. But I met another chef, became really good friends with him. He's like, "Oh, I've worked with Yan. I've worked with Martin before."
Right.
He's like, when he's really in the kitchen cooking, he's like, he makes Gordon Ramsay look like a pussycat. I mean, Gordon Ramsay wasn't big back then, but the way my chef friend described Martin, when he's in that kitchen, when it's
Yeah.
real cooking, he's very serious. He doesn't tolerate the the the, the playfulness that you see on his, that we saw on his show. So yeah, I think you make a good point, RK3. I don't know, what do I call you, Robert, or do I call you RK3 or
Whatever comes to your brain first, my friend.
as you said, I think it's a good point. You know, there are personas, like
Yeah.
there are certain situations where we are going to act a bit different, but it's still authentically us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, just amplify. It's just me turned up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, where it does show up differently, or where we can claim inauthenticity, I use the example of celebrities, where they'll play a character on TV or in a movie, and the character is really nice, really humble, really neat, and then in person, the celebrity's a jerk. Right? They're mean. They don't treat people kindly. They yell. They're a diva. They're, so that is inauthenticity for me. If you show up differently, drastically differently, meaning that if I think you're kind and you're really not, if I think you're nice or generous, and then in another situation you're really not, then that's where inauthenticity shows up for me.
Right. And also part of the topic was when we use authenticity as a branding tool,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
People doing, I called it earlier, emotional vomit,
Yeah.
because we're showing up and like, look at me, I'm struggling so much because blah blah blah, so
Yeah.
that I get more likes and follows. That one of the early quotes, raw is the new polished, and
Mhm.
that's part of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that, I hear that, and I agree with that. I mean, at some point, man, sometimes you got to win. Sometimes at some point you've got to get over the challenge. It's not always, oh, I'm suffering, oh, the world is against me, oh, look at this, look at this. Yeah, there's some
The big
layer that you got to just kind of, you know, I'll say it this way. It's probably mean to say it this way, but I'll just say at some point you kind of suck it up and you live life, right? Yeah.
And what were you sharing, Suniti? I heard your voice chime in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said just to stop being a victim. Stop the victim behavior.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, as we shared earlier, right? Share from the scar, not from the bleeding.
Right. 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 I mean, I do believe there is some validity or some value in sharing while you're bleeding. Because that's reality. That's real, right? But if you're always bleeding,
Then something's
then
wrong.
then that's the problem, right? At some
Right.
point, we're looking at like, dude, you're bleeding. Put a band-aid on. Cut it out. I mean, you can't always be bleeding.
Right.
So there is some level of moderation in what we
Exactly.
share and what we do.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were talking about, is that we don't got to share everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes our absence speaks more than any story.
Yeah.
Well, I see we're at the top of the hour. I thank you so much for joining us, RK3,
Yeah.
because I open this up every week, and I think most people are maybe a little tech shy or camera shy or voice shy. I don't know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm
they're
neither of
scared
those.
of.
RK is not scared of nothing.
Yeah. Well, I don't like snakes too much, but outside of
Oh, I
that,
can't stand snakes.
I
That's
love
it.
snakes.
are
I
you
love
serious?
snakes. They're the
Oh
most
Lord.
grateful ever.
Oh
I
boy.
I was I was in
I'm saying
Thailand.
that we worship them.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. I might have to change religions because
Yeah, I was in Thailand, and we'd be sitting there, and these guys would come around with a big boa constrictor, and like they just start putting it on your neck, like, "Hey, you want to take a picture?" And I'm like, "Nope, get that thing away from me." Like you
no,
can
thank
bring the
you.
birds and other stuff, but keep that thing away, like way over there.
We have one living in our house.
A boa
I
constrictor?
don't no, I don't know the English name for it, but it's poisonous. I mean venomous. Sorry, and it's like for old buildings, they always have these snakes. They are called bastu sharp, and they take care of the building and the building's inhabitants. It's kind of a legend over here, and actually, every old home, has a snake.
Oh boy.
Note to self: I'm not moving to India.
There we go. I'd have to move.
I did live in the jungle in Belize for about a year, and I remember I was saw this vine once, and I'm like, "Wow, that's a really bright green vine." And I go, "That's not a vine.
Yeah.
That's a snake." And I got out of there quick. My wife's like, "You better go out there and kill that thing so it don't hurt our chickens."
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching live team replay. We appreciate everyone, and we'll see you all next week for Monday Mindshift.
All right, y'all. Have a fantastic